bike looks like when it arrives. The first thing I'm going to do is cut off these zip ties, basically to take out the bar handle and the front wheel. So let's do that. So once after removing the bike handle, I had to just kind of turn it over this part right here, and then you want to make sure that the disc brake is on the left side, which is the same as the rear. And then also you can just kind of turn this part. This was facing backward, just kind of slowly turn it counterclockwise to make it face forward. So now basically we're gonna put the front tire on here, and you're gonna lose this nut, and along with that this nut lock, and this piece right here is essentially gonna go right here. So that's basically what that's for.
Can I?
Yep. And I got my little helper here, and basically once you have, one second, Bob, move your hand. So once you have this nut and that lock in there, then you just want to tighten that. So go ahead. Clockwise.
Gosh.
Yep, good job. The other thing that I forgot to tell you guys is that when you're actually putting the front wheel in, you want to make sure that the disc actually goes right inside the brake pads back there. Just make sure that you don't bend it or put the disc brake outside or anything like that. And you might want to push the wheel up just ever so slightly to make sure that this nut lock actually goes inside that little hole over there. If it doesn't, just kind of gently tap on the wheel upwards and it'll do that. And there it is, your front wheel detached. That's what it basically looks like. Now, it does not come with a quick release, so if you want to remove that, we're essentially just remove that part, take it out, and just kind of fit the quick release. But for now, it doesn't come with one, so just bolt it in and call it a day. So this is the stem, and I've removed the front piece, which my lovely assistant is holding right here. And basically the bike handle is just going to go in there, and I'm going to screw in the bolts. Provided hardware is included. So once you have the handle back on, you just kind of tighten these, but leave it loose enough so you can actually adjust the bike to your liking. So from here you can actually kind of still move it and just kind of get a feel for where you actually want the handles to be, where the brakes to be. And once you're happy, just kind of hold it there and tighten that. The handlebar actually has grooves on the inside, so once it's in, even though I haven't tightened it, it's actually pretty locked in, so it's not moving left or right. I forgot to say this is my partner, Summer, and she's putting on the pedals right now, so the pedals clearly indicate right and left, and she's turning it in which direction? Clockwise. Another thing to note is that the thread right here, sorry, the piece of the pedal right here is metal, and this is all plastic. So when you're actually, once you've hand tightened it, you probably want to take a wrench or something and tighten this part, but just make sure you don't apply any pressure on the plastic, just to keep it from breaking. So our bike installation is pretty much complete. Now this is a pretty standard way of fixing the disc brakes, that you want to kind of loosen these two bolts, and then you want to squeeze the brake, and what that does is that it essentially allows your rotors to be perfectly centered as your brakes are being pressed. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So loosen these two, squeeze the brakes, and while you have the brake squeezed down, tighten these two back.
So loosen these two, squeeze the brakes, and while you have the brake squeezed down, tighten these two back.
One last thing remaining is, before you take it out for a spin, you just want to make sure that these bolts on the stem are tightened, and there's this plastic piece cover, you can remove that. There's another underneath that, you got to tighten that as well, just to make sure it's nice and sturdy. Alright, so just rode the bike for the first time around the neighborhood. It's generally a pretty smooth ride. I'm more used to mountain biking, so this is kind of my first foray into road biking, and certainly not a pro bike review or anything. But as you know, most of the decent road bikes start at about $1,000 or more. And if kind of like me, if you're not really sure if road biking is for you,
and you want to start off with something more economical, I think at 3 to 500 range, this is a pretty decent first step into road biking. The only other option here in Canada that is cheaper than this is a CCM or Super Cycle from Canadian Tire. It's at a similar price point, but then you don't get the disc brakes, and just the general look and feel, I believe, of this bike it just seems like a better deal. In the little time that I had just riding it right now, I feel the ride was, again, pretty smooth. There is a knocking sound coming from somewhere in the rear wheel, probably the hub, that I'm going to look into a little bit more after I'm going to make another video. I'll figure out what happens there. But other than that, it's a pretty decent bike. I'm happy. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day riding it, enjoy the weather. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. If you're in the GTA or Mississauga area and need any help assembling the bike, you can also hit me up in the comment section. That's pretty much it. Enjoy the rest of your day.